back to my channel. If this is not your first time, thanks so much for returning to my channel. If this is in fact your first time, I want to stop you right here. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel right now, and also make sure you turn on those notifications so that you can get an update every time I update a new video. So this is going to be a series of videos that I am super excited about doing. This is going to be the adoption series. So no, I'm not adopting a child. I actually was adopted as a child, and based on the topics that I discuss on my podcast, on social media, and in real life, I am often asked a series of questions in relation to adoption, and I want to make sure that I have a full-fledged discussion with everyone so that you can just get a better understanding of like what it's like to be adopted and things like that. So I'm going to break it down into a few different spaces of life, if you will, so that I can group the experiences that way. The first, which is this particular episode, is going to be about growing up as an adopted child. So I'm gonna jump right on into this. Let me start by saying that I was the first of my kind, and so I feel like I sound like a new computer or a new car or whatever else it is, but I was the first of my kind. Back in 1990, people were not adopting children in the Black community like that. So when I guess my mom must have mentioned that she was in fact interested in adopting a child, the community, or her village I should say, definitely surrounded her with a lot of support, and that is something that I definitely could feel over the lifespan, over my lifespan. However, I think it did create a certain kind of experience that never made sense to me until now. And I think it's important for me to communicate this because I hope that this will influence the way that you interact and encounter adopted children, and also if you do intend to be a parent that adopts a child, the way that you approach adoption in your household, how you rear that child and things like that. So I was considered the golden child, honey. I was special and I was like the prize. You know, it's like a new purse, a new pair of shoes, a new this, a new that. Ooh, I want to see. Ooh, let me hold it. Ooh, this cute, like a dog or a puppy or something. To be honest with you, that's how I felt. Now, I will also say that a question that I get a lot of the time is, when did your mom tell you that you were adopted? And so I always answer that question by saying, I don't remember a time that I didn't know I was adopted. Now, I know there are some parents that they adopt children and they decide to keep that a secret. I don't support that, just because I feel like it starts the pattern of you keeping secrets or lying or not establishing this open and honest environment for your child. You know, I've obviously seen television shows a lot of the time where Black families specifically, they keep these like family secrets that can be detrimental to the future of that child's life. And so that's why I personally, I don't support that. My mom did, however, always communicate to me that I was special. She said that God blessed me with two mothers. A lot of people only have one, and that also my mother never necessarily hated me, didn't like me, didn't want me. She just wanted me to have better. Now, as a child, you just think, okay, but the older you get, you know, you come up with your own theories, concepts, and ideas about what that really means. But in general, I was considered to be blessed. I was special. I had extra. I had more than others. The flocking of people was a little normal for me. I guess, like, you know, if you don't know anything differently, then you don't necessarily categorize it as strange. So it was normal for me to have people like just come to me and just, you know, love on me a little bit more. I got a lot of extra hugs and kisses and embraces and just people just wanting to be present as a child. And I guess now I look at it like, I'm not a charity case. You know what I mean? And that was definitely one of the things that I started to kind of process for myself. Like, I'm not a charity case. I don't need you to do all of this to make me feel secure and whole in who I am. So the next thing, I want to be completely transparent about this. Yes, I was teased about being adopted by a child. So I don't necessarily take it personal, because it's not like it was an adult, or it's not like it's someone that was mature enough to be able to understand what adoption was, especially because it wasn't as prevalent then as it was now. Like, not giving excuses, but I was teased. And so I'll just give you the dynamics of that story. Was simple. This particular child's mother probably like did my hair a few times, was just nice to me in general, and the child didn't really know how to communicate that they were either jealous or uncomfortable with that experience. And so with that in mind, what ended up happening was she pretty much decided to wait until I got on the school bus in front of everybody at school and start telling these lies like, my mom put me in a trash can, my mama ain't want me, blah 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 blah. However, because my mom had communicated to me, you know, you're special, your mom didn't put you in a trash can, like she actually communicated what happened in layman's terms for a child. And so I knew that my mom never put me in a trash can, and my mom actually made and when I say my mom, I mean my biological mom in this instance, made a conscious decision to put me first and make sure that I get a better life. And so because I was able to respond with that, I guess it made the attempt to tease me a little less damaging. However, like, why, I guess, like, as an adult, I look back at that moment and I say to myself, like, why would you ever tell someone your mommy ain't want you, she put you in the trash can? Do you know what it means to be put in the trash can? And I won't lie to you, like, as a kid, that definitely hurt my feelings. And I think what it did is it prepared me to be in a position to accept that kind of criticism and that level of nastiness from people in general. Of course, somebody calls my phone while I'm talking to y'all. And I hate that that happened to me, because that was literally the only time I ever got teased as a child. And her mom reprimanded her, and it wasn't a big deal. And she probably don't even remember that she did that. But obviously, it was definitely one of those impactful moments for me, because I never necessarily realized that it was that much of a differentiator. And so I'll get into that, like realizing that I'm different. That was the first time that that happened for me. You know, again, like I said, if that's your normal and you don't have anything that will deter you from believing or accepting that, then you don't realize how different you are. As I began to grow up, I just started to realize, like, simple things like everybody doesn't just have a mom. Some people actually have a father. Now, TV told me people had fathers, but I guess I started to realize a lot of my friends, a lot of my associates, a lot of my peers had fathers or father figures. I didn't have either. And then just in addition to that, then I started to realize that family dynamics were different. So I was adopted into a household where my mom technically lived a life like she was adopted, but she was completely connected to her family. So pretty much my mom's aunt raised her, not because there was some issue, simply because my mom begged to go back with her aunt. Her aunt lived in the big city, her family lived in the country, and she was afforded an amazing life because of her aunt. Now, her aunt is who I would then consider my grandmother, just based on the dynamics of how they grew up. But if you could keep that same concept in mind, my mom didn't grow up with her siblings until it was almost exactly the same as me and my biological sister. So yes, as a child, I actually met my biological sister for the first time. I was 9 and she was 10, and we still have a relationship to this day. Coincidentally enough, we live in the same city. So after that moment, we were able to share some life experiences together. I will say that, you know, it was a very distorted view of like what a sister would be. To be honest with you, like, I didn't grow up with anybody else in the house, and she didn't grow up with anyone else in the house. We knew we were sisters, and we were super excited about that. I just think it was one of those things where it was so easy for us to kind of like live in our little bubbles, and then, you know, connect bubbles sometimes, and then separate and go back to our own worlds. And again, in general, I just feel like growing up, like being adopted really taught me this false reality of the fact that like adoption is widely accepted. Adoption is something that everyone understands. Adoption is normal, you know, and these are the things that a parent or a support system communicates to a child because they don't want them to seem like the ugly duckling or just the oddball out or whatever. And one of the ways that I think that was kind of a hard thing for me to wrap my head around was when my friends or peers would tell me that I was lying. So I remember a few times, like, you know, I rode the bus or something like that, and people would say, you don't look like your mama, you must look like your daddy. And I'm like, I don't have a dad. Now, that is an incorrect statement to make. Everybody has a father. Obviously, the father is necessary to fertilize said eggs to birth us. However, I don't have a father figure in my household, and so I would always say, well, I don't have a father, and I'm adopted, and I don't know my biological mother or father, so I don't know who I look like. And everybody would look at me like, you are not adopted, you're lying. Okay. As a kid, I struggled. I would get very upset sometimes. Why would I lie about being adopted? Is that something that's so glorified that people intend to lie about it? I don't want sympathy from you. I don't care for you to know that I'm adopted so that you can treat me differently or be softer with me. I don't really see why that's necessary. And beyond that, why would you tell someone they're lying? The other thing that I've also heard a few times is, you don't look like you're adopted. I don't know what that means. I don't know what an adopted child looks like. I guess I'm supposed to look like poor and not put together, or I guess I'm supposed to look frazzled. I'm not supposed to be who I am, and I don't really understand why. But that was just my experience there. I will say that, you know, I do feel like it was easy for me to remove myself from people. It was just easier for me to realize how different I was. I became a person that identified the differences between me and my friends, me and people that I encountered. Just in any environment, I was always observant of the differences. And I think, you know, in an effort of my mom to like really put me in an environment where I feel comfortable and I don't feel different, I think it maximized the intensity of me realizing I'm different. And I don't really feel like she did it in a way that it was intentional or that she intended to harm me. I just think that's just the nature of the beast. Now also, just in relation to like family dynamics with her family, we did not live in the same area as them, maybe about an hour or two away. Now that's actually pretty close in general. As a younger child, I probably spent a little bit more time with them and I was around them a lot more. But as I grew up, you know, I would see them less. Our encounters would be less. And I think, again, the one thing that I realized is I am not necessarily a part of this family. I do not have that level of a connection with everyone here. And a lot of that had to do with being in two different places. And I think that I live in a different place than most of my family. I talk differently than most of my cousins. My experiences are different. I present myself differently. I just realized those kinds of things, and I would just challenge all of you that either are surrounded by people that are adopted, intend to adopt a child, or anything like that. I would just encourage you as they're growing up, please don't magnify that they're so similar to everyone else. I think just let them be, because I think some children will be fine with being different. And to be honest with you, it encouraged me to be different. So a lot of the things that I do, I say I like, I care about, a lot of other people don't. And I think for a long time, I shied away from really standing firm on the fact that I am different, and that's perfectly okay, and accepting it. And so you know, some children, I feel like like me, you can get over it and you'll accept it and move on. But other children will struggle with that, and that could be an insecurity for them. So hopefully my discussion about growing up as an adopted child has either educated you, encouraged you to enhance the experience that you have with adopted children, or just enlighten you to even consider adopting a child of your own if that's a path you choose to take. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode, and please stay tuned for the rest of the series. Bye, y'all.